She walked away from a 7-figure salary at Google to chase an idea everyone else said was insane. But Alex Carter wasn't built for playing safe. She came to change the game or be destroyed by it. In 2023, Alex Carter, an elite AI architect, stood at a crossroads. Google begged her to stay. Executive title, dream team, and a corner office with a view of the Bay. But Alex didn't come to Silicon Valley to play politics. She had a vision, and that vision didn't fit inside Google's carefully gated innovation park. That vision was Fortress One, a next-gen cybersecurity system designed to predict and neutralize cyber threats before they even happen. An AI sentinel that learns, evolves, and defends without waiting for permission. Iron Peak Systems, a red-hot startup backed by Phoenix Capital, promised her everything. Total creative control, elite engineers, and a CEO who valued real disruption. It sounded like the perfect storm, and Alex was ready to dive in. She didn't take the job for the money. She took it for the fight. Inside Iron Peak's Palo Alto HQ, in a glass-walled lab lined with whiteboards and GPU clusters, Alex got to work. 16-hour days, 7 days a week. She coded like a woman possessed. Every line of logic, every test simulation, another brick in the fortress no one thought was possible. Fortress One wasn't just another tool. It was a digital bodyguard, engineered to spot danger before it could blink. When asked why she'd left Google, she'd shrug and smirk. Because I wanted to build something they didn't have the guts to. What she didn't know, what no algorithm could predict, was that the real threat wouldn't come from outside the firewall. It was already sitting in the boardroom. Once you build the fortress, you think you're safe. But what if the real traitor is already inside the walls? Alex Carter hadn't seen the sun in days. Her workspace, deep inside Iron Peak's security wing, was lit only by screens and server LEDs. For 18 months, she lived on caffeine, drive, and sheer obsession. 80 hours a week, no weekends, no distractions. She didn't just build Fortress One, she breathed it. Each keystroke fed the system's neural engine. Every simulation added new muscle to its defenses. She trained it on threat patterns from around the world, 0 days from Beijing, ransomware payloads out of Sao Paulo, advanced persistence from the Russian dark web. Fortress One didn't just defend. It learned to think like an attacker. By month 12, it was outperforming human analysts. By month 15, it began identifying potential breaches before malicious code ever touched a firewall. To some, it looked like magic. To Alex, it was survival. But as the final lines of code came into place, Alex started noticing things that didn't add up. Late-night logins she didn't authorize, shadow copies of core files, subtle questions from the company's legal department about ownership clauses in her contract. Questions no one had ever asked before. Then night, 1:43 a.m., Fortress One successfully stopped a Level 7 simulated attack. The AI not only blocked the breach, it predicted it before the breach even triggered. It was done. It was alive. But instead of triumph, Alex felt something else, a cold ripple in her gut. Something wasn't right. And so, quietly, she created a private backup, a clean core copy, just for her. She walked into that room thinking it was a celebration. 15 minutes later, her life's work was no longer hers. Alex wore a crisp white shirt, hair pulled back, her laptop in hand, ready to showcase Fortress One's breakthrough, an AI system that had just intercepted and neutralized a high-level cyber attack without a single line of human intervention. She'd been squeezed into a 15-minute slot with Eric Dalton, CEO of Iron Peak Systems, on the top floor, the executive suite with glass walls and a view built for power moves. But when she walked in, it wasn't just Eric waiting. Andrea Moon, head of legal, sat beside him. "Take a seat, Alex," Eric said smoothly. That signature Silicon Valley smile was still there, but not in his eyes. She was about to open her laptop when Andrea slid a document across the table. "Before we talk about Fortress One," Andrea said, her tone flat as concrete, "we need to revisit Clause 17.4 of your employment agreement." Clause 17.4. All intellectual property developed using Iron Peak resources is the sole property of Iron Peak Systems. Alex blinked. "That system was my idea before I even joined this company," she replied. "I have documentation." Andrea didn't even flinch. Ideas aren't legally binding. The actual code, the infrastructure, the functionality, those were built here, on our art here, with our money. Eric leaned forward, the fake warmth in his voice evaporating. Let's be honest, Alex. Fortress 1 belongs to Iron Peak. You'll receive a $300,000 success bonus when it launches. That's more than fair. The air in the room froze, not because she didn't see it coming, but because she had. And in that silence, a plan started to unfold, piece by piece, line by line, just like the code she'd written. They thought she'd panic, cry, beg, but Alex Carter didn't come to Iron Peak to beg. She came to win. And this war, she started preparing for it 6 months ago. It happened at 2:17 a.m. Fortress 1 triggered a silent alarm. Unauthorized access, internal IP, admin credentials, after hours. Alex didn't confront anyone. She didn't blow the whistle. She just watched. Then she rewrote Fortress 1's internal monitoring systems, quietly, off the record, hidden from Iron Peak logs. A shadow protocol, a buried watchdog. Every unauthorized login, every copied file, every overwritten command. Fortress 1 logged it all. Time-stamped, encrypted, traceable. She didn't know exactly when Eric would make his move. She just knew he would. Because Fortress 1 was too valuable not to steal. So when Eric finally dropped the mask in that boardroom, flashing contracts and corporate legalese like weapons, Alex didn't flinch. She didn't scream. She didn't even raise her voice. Because by then, she wasn't playing by Iron Peak's rules anymore. They expected the demo to blow investors away, and it did, just not the way they planned, because the billion-dollar system turned its aim inward. The Iron Peak boardroom was all glass, steel, and confidence. Investors from Wall Street to Tokyo lined the room. Eric Dalton stood center stage like a man about to crown his legacy. This, he said, gesturing to the screen, is Fortress 1, your next-generation cybersecurity shield. The first few minutes were flawless. Simulated threats blocked. Real-time attacks neutralized instantly. The system even predicted stealth probes before they initiated. Investors nodded, impressed. Then, minute 10, a flicker. Then, static. Then, red. A system-wide alert lit up the display. Threat detected. Internal network compromise. Source, Iron Peak infrastructure, priority critical. The room fell into stunned silence. Firewalls began locking down. Fortress 1 turned inward, its sensors pinging anomalies across Iron Peak's internal servers. Hundreds of alerts began flooding the interface. Reports, logs, flags, all pointing in the same direction. Iron Peak itself had been flagged as a hostile entity. Eric froze. One investor leaned over and whispered, "Is your AI accusing your company of being the threat?" The system wasn't crashing. It was defending itself, exactly as it had been built to do. And this time, the attacker wore a suit and tie. He thought she'd come back to fix the system, but Alex didn't fix bugs. She corrected assumptions, especially about who held the real power. 10 p.m. Alex's phone buzzed. Rachel, Eric's assistant. "He wants to see you." Does he want me? Or does he want Fortress 1? Both. The car's already on its way. 40 minutes later, Alex stepped back into Iron Peak's conference room, not as a staff member, but as the woman who now owned the narrative. Eric looked wrecked. Tie loose, shirt wrinkled, panic hanging off him like smoke. "Please, fix it," he rasped. Alex sat across from him, calm, controlled. "I'm not fixing anything. This isn't funny, Alex. The system marked our entire network as a threat. It tanked the demo." "No," she said. "It identified the threat. It did exactly what it was designed to do. And today, Eric, you were the threat." Silence. He blinked, lost. She leaned in, voice low and lethal. 6 months ago, Fortress 1 detected an unauthorized access. I didn't tell anyone. I just wrote code. Silent code. Watching. Recording. Every file you touched. Every command you rewrote. Every breach. It logged everything. Eric looked like he might be sick. Alex reached into her jacket, set a flash drive on the table. "This will remove Fortress 1's internal lockdown. A single authentication patch." She paused. "But in exchange, I want everything I'm owed. Title, ownership, a board seat, and $10 million for your little stunt." Yesterday, they escorted her out like dead weight. Today, she walked back in, not for her old desk, but for the seat at the head of the table. The morning sun spilled over Silicon Valley as Alex Carter stepped out of the black SUV. No security badge, no cardboard box, no sideways pity glances, just silence and the weight of new authority. She entered Iron Peak headquarters with a new title: Co-founder, Chief Technology Officer, her name now etched in chrome on the boardroom's glass door. Eric waited in the lobby, that forced corporate smile plastered on his face. "Welcome back." "I never left," she said coldly. The demo began. Fortress 1 purred like a well-tuned engine. No flags, no crashes, no red alerts. This time, it worked exactly as intended. Investors leaned in, impressed. One turned to Eric. "So, whose brainchild is this?" He hesitated. Then finally, he looked at Alex. It was hers, from day one. Alex stepped forward, the spotlight now hers. No fear, no forgiveness, just the quiet satisfaction of standing exactly where she belonged. The world didn't know what Fortress 1 could really do until it stopped the biggest cyber heist in global banking history. 3 months into Alex's reign as CTO, Fortress 1 was finally battle-tested, and fate didn't ease it in. It threw it straight into the fire. Target, a multinational bank with over $800 billion in global assets. Time of attack, 2:04 a.m. Method, distributed stealth intrusion across hundreds of endpoints, disguised as system maintenance requests. To most systems, it looked like noise. But Fortress 1, it had seen this pattern before. It had learned, and it responded in 1.2 seconds. Before a human even reached for the panic button, the AI had already segmented the network, quarantined the infected systems, redirected clean traffic, and traced the breach back to its command server. Final losses, less than $1,000 in delayed transactions. Initial threat projection, over $340 million in damages. The financial world was stunned. Tech journalists called Fortress 1 the Guardian AI, the first artificial intelligence not just capable of responding to threats, but predicting them, defending against them, and learning every single time. Back at Iron Peak, when reporters asked Alex how it felt, she simply said, "It did exactly what I built it to do." And this time, no one else is taking the credit. Forgiveness was never part of her design, but making sure betrayal never happened again, that was non-negotiable. They still worked together. Eric, the man who tried to cut her out. Alex, the woman who outsmarted him and took her power back. They shared boardrooms, strategy calls, product launches. Same battlefield, different codes of honor. They weren't allies. They were a detente wrapped in quarterly earnings. Alex didn't hold a grudge. She built a standard. After Fortress 1 made headlines for saving the global bank, her first official directive as CTO was clear. No deployment without ethical transparency protocols. Period. Every installation of Fortress 1 now came with clear audit trail settings, internal activity monitoring, visible and immutable, automated AI-generated integrity reports sent monthly to a third party, and most importantly, no one, not even the CEO, could touch the system in secret. Not anymore. Eric pushed back. "It's going to scare off enterprise clients," he warned. "Good," Alex said flatly. "The only tech worth fearing is the kind no one's watching." She didn't just build a system, she built a belief that tech shouldn't just be smart, it should have a soul. 6 months after Fortress 1 saved the banking world from catastrophe, Iron Peak went public. The IPO shattered expectations, closing the day with a $4.2 billion market cap. Headlines rolled in. The tech unicorn built on ethics. The woman who taught AI to care. But for Alex, the numbers were never the endgame. What moved her were the quiet messages, the emails from young engineers, the whispered thank yous at conferences. The students, especially the women, who said she made them believe tech had space for people like them. They called her the CTO with a conscience, the one who proved you didn't have to sell your soul to change the world. At the IPO celebration, a college senior approached her, nervous, excited, and wide-eyed. "What's the secret?" she asked. "How do you build something that actually changes things?" Alex paused, looked around the room. Investors, engineers, doubters turned believers. Then she smiled. "It's not about the code," she said. "It's about knowing what's worth protecting and being ready to fight for it." She was once locked out of the very thing she built. Now she leaves behind a message for the next coder, the next fighter, the next her. At the Global Tech Summit in Austin, Alex Carter took the stage, not just as an engineer, not just as CTO, but as someone who had been erased and came back stronger. She didn't show slides. She didn't pitch numbers. She told a story about being fired from her own project, about a demo that was supposed to be the end, but became her beginning. about building not just systems, but ethical firewalls that fought back. She looked out at the packed auditorium, thousands of eyes, thousands of stories. "I'm not telling this because I think I'm better," she said. "I'm telling it because in a world where they can delete your name from a line of code, you better be the one holding the keys." She paused, then delivered the words that would echo far beyond the room. "Protect what you build. You are your own first line of defense, and sometimes the only one." She got everything back: her title, her code, her power. But the greatest thing she ever reclaimed was her voice. And now she's handing the mic to you. In a short video posted to her personal blog, Alex sat in her home workspace, surrounded by motherboards, coffee mugs, and the original Fortress 1 prototype. No stage lights, no dramatic editing, just truth. "I'm not sharing my story to inspire you," she said. "I'm sharing it to remind you that sometimes no one's coming to validate you. You have to stand up for what you've built. Don't let them define you by titles, contracts, or clout." She paused, looked into the lens like she was talking to her younger self, or maybe to someone watching in silence. If you've ever been overlooked, if your work's ever been stolen, if you've stayed quiet just to keep the peace, tell your story. Don't let them own your silence or your value. A slight nod, a steady smile. Because this world doesn't change through obedience. It changes because someone finally says, "Enough."